Welcome to my black and white Sunday. I finally finished my 120 roll in my Hasselblad, and today I wanna develop the film and also print some photos from these negatives. Because I don't have a fresh chemistry, I need to prepare everything from scratch. I will start with filling up my Jobo CPE2 processor with the cold water, because normal temperature for all black and white development is 20 degrees. Using this type of system for black and white, I think it's not really necessary and probably it's too much and overkill. But because I already have it, I just want to try to use all rotation system and standardized temperature of 20 degrees. Because I'm using one 120 roll, I just need one section of my Jobo tank. And you can read out notation on the drum. So I need around 240 milliliters to make a rotation development. And I will prepare all the solutions and calculations for these measuring cylinders. I'm using calculator website, you can find the link below in the description. And you also can find measurements and the calculation for the volume. It's quite handy because for some reason the notation on top of the chemicals not per 100 milliliters or not in a weight percents or volume percents, it's in some reason in ratios, which for me as a chemist sometimes create a lot of problems because it's a nightmare and nobody uses this type of technology anymore anywhere. So let's load up the film on top of the reel inside the drum. And I always keeping the spool from the 120 film just in case if I lose one what I have inside the camera. Because in my apartment I have a temperature around 25 degrees because it's close to the summer, and in my case here I need to cool everything down back to 20 degrees. Because my running water in the apartment around 70 degrees, so I just need to wait a little bit until it's heating up to 20 degrees and start development. The method of development is more or less the same, so you need to put the developer inside the tank, close the lid and make few rotations to agitate the developer on top of the whole film, and continue with the rotation and with the next step for development. And after everything done, you just need to rinse everything up with the water. And usually as a last step after fully washed film, I just apply Adox Flow. Basically it's a surfactant inside the DI water to remove all the residues from my hard water in the apartment. And just in case on these reels at the same time you can develop two 120 films or 61mm film, just use a red separator on top of the reel. So far the film looks good. I'm actually not sure about the base material because for my taste it looks a little bit flimsy and I see a little bit of fog from the development. Not sure if it should be like this, so I have little or almost no experience with the black and whites and I just experimenting it for fun, and I'm not really taking everything so serious and I just more or less care about the final result. So the next step is preparation of the paper developer, and a stop bath and the fixer. It's exactly the same chemistry what I used for the film development but with a different ratio. What is usually quite handy, you can use a syringe if you need like 10 milliliters or 5 milliliters exactly, and it's quite better than using just a measuring cylinder. Because this is 120 film, I need to exchange the lens and put the lens of 80 millimeters and change the safe light to the full spectrum mode. And just for fun, I will load some frames from this negative and try to make prints with a bigger format paper what I have in stock. This is exactly the same high contrast paper what I used before, but just with a bigger size. So let's check my focusing and the framing and just check what grain structure I have on top of this negative. As always on 120 film, the grain is crazy small and the picture looks really sharp. And what I found out about the Jobo CPE2 Plus, this reel holder for the drum, it's not really sturdy if you're using the cold water. But nevertheless, I also can use exactly the same system for development of my paper and the film and different types of negatives and different types of papers, black and white, color, and even the positive film and positive paper, for example, if you can find it in the modern world. So I make a first test result with the exposure and on F11 with the steps of 5 seconds. So the print will be not really like precise, but I just want to print it for fun and make few prints from the same negative. So I will just randomly choose the 20 seconds, and after it I will just make a bigger print and check if I can do anything more on top of this print and make the pictures with exactly the same settings. So now I'm thinking I really need to make the test sheets, and now I fully am starting to understand the potential of the test strips. For example, for color, you already can make estimation of the color shifts what you want to make on the picture, and for black and white is exactly the same. You can actually estimate the initial raw exposure on top of the negative if you have a test sheet and a test print. So probably contact sheet printer will be my next investment in the darkroom. So far, I really like the medium format look and the symmetry of this picture. But for me, all the time, the Hasselblad actually give completely different vibe for the photos and for the photographer itself, like how I hold it, how I make the pictures, what are the decisions I make about the pictures. And this is why, after many years of photography, I actually landed on the idea have a completely different cameras with a more or less 1 or 2 lenses. Because lately for me it's more important how I feel about the camera and about the pictures what I take in with the camera and how I compose, than just have a range of different focal length with more or less exactly the same pictures. So with exactly the same settings I just advanced the negative, and I want to print the second one and check if I have exactly the same results with exactly the same exposure. So this is more or less easy prints, and I really like the contrast and result on this one, and also dynamic range looks really good. So I really like black and white in this case because it gives you more flexibility and you can easily relax, and sometimes just on the evenings you can print more and have more fun. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, thank you for support, and see you in the next videos.